This is beaver tail leather. It is lovely and thin, but also very, very resistant, very hard and hard to work with, and not at all stretchy or malleable. My brother-in-law Tom made a gorgeous custom Benchmade knife a few years back, and he has tasked me to make him a sheath that can be clipped to his pocket. I want to do something very special. Not only will it be the first time I'm doing a cuir bouilli sheath, but I'll also be using beaver tail leather, which is quite incredible. Cuir bouilli comes from the French bouillir, which basically means to boil, but unlike its name, it doesn't actually require boiling. For my initial proof of concept test, I will be using some quite thick vegetable tanned leather. I'm going to dip this in water, make sure it's really nice and saturated with water, and then simply wrap it around the knife. I'll be using a relatively cheap vacuum bag that was found online with a also very cheap vacuum pump. I'm hoping I can get a very simple shape around the knife and add a clip to it, and that this will then simply become a slip-on sheath or slip-in sheath, whichever way you want to see it. So once in the bag and under pressure, I push the leather around using a bone folder or a wooden burnishing stick to help mold the leather. Now obviously you might be looking at the texture of the bag here and thinking that could be an issue, and yeah, it was sort of an issue. We'll have a look at that in a minute. So hardening the leather isn't actually boiling, as I mentioned, it's actually baking it in the oven at around 80 degrees Celsius or 176 degrees Fahrenheit for roughly 20 minutes. What happens here is that as the water boils out of the leather, comes out of the leather, those fibers with the heat start to contract and the whole thing gets really tight and hard. But you also have to be careful not to leave it in too long, because there are three main things that could happen. The first is that the leather could become brittle and crack when under pressure. The second is that because it's brittle, it's also not malleable and it won't really move around as much as you might need it to be able to slip the knife in and out. And the third, most annoying part is that obviously it's contracting, which means that that shape is getting tighter. You can see it's really nice and hard, and actually I'm surprised how easy that was. It was only 20 minutes in the oven. But since it's hard, cutting off the excess was actually quite a challenge. I did manage it, but it was harder than I thought. Once I've got rid of most of the material, I can go ahead and refine it using a Dremel and a small sanding bit attachment. So this first proof of concept is obviously not great, and we're going to refine it, but I do want to see if I can make something out of this. So I'm going to try and stain it and see how that reacts. But since the fibers have all contracted together, the stain is having a really hard time penetrating into the sheath, and ultimately I'm a bit disappointed, and it just looks like someone's taken a dump on my workbench. The word you're looking for is anyway, let's go for number 2. No, I didn't mean it like that. Well, whatever. For sheath number 2, we are going to be using some thin Niagara leather from the Radimicher tannery. It's the tannery that I've been working with for years now, and I absolutely love their leathers. This is a gorgeous vegetable tanned leather. The only issue is it had a tallow bath treatment to it, which means it's more resistant to water, so it has to stay underwater longer to be able to soak up some of that moisture. This time I'm going for a slightly different shape, and I'm using a very hard cutting mat as a backing here so that the leather can rest on top of the knife and not wrap around it, and I'll have a second piece underneath which won't be boiled to have a bit more flexibility. I follow the same shaping method, and once cooked I'm left with again a really nice hardened husk or top part of the sheath. I'm very pleased with this result, and I'm honestly, again, surprised at how easy it was, especially with thinner leather. So with the front part of the sheath ready, more or less, I can go ahead and prepare the backing part, which incorporates a clip. I'll first cut out my piece of leather and position the clip to see where I need to punch those holes. Now I can slide in the clip and mark out the rivet location. I don't want the knife to be in contact with the rivet or the clip, so I'll be using a second piece of leather on top, which first I have to go ahead and skive using a French skiver. I go ahead and scratch up the metal clip to give the glue somewhere to bond to, and then apply a generous coat of my favourite neoprene cement glue on both pieces of leather. Once the glue is applied to both surfaces, let that rest for a couple of minutes until it is dry to the touch or just barely tacky, and then you can go ahead and press your two pieces together. Now, during the cooking process of the leather did shrink a bit. I'm worried about the tightness of the final fit, so I'm going to cut a small notch on the side to hopefully alleviate this just a tad. Once my top edges are beveled, I can go ahead and burnish them using Tokonol and a 100% cotton rag. I'll scuff up the backing plate very quickly where it's going to be meeting the front part of the sheath, again to give glue somewhere to bond to. By the way, I'm often asked which type of glue I like, and I'm currently using Renier's Top Fit glue, which I mix to a ratio of 2 parts glue to 1 part of their thinning solution, and I find this gives me a very liquid glue that works really well for my needs, and I would suggest you try your own mixture to find exactly what works for you. These are my Crimson Hides stitching irons. These are the French tipped stitching irons, which means that they are slants and not diamonds. And I find this gives me a much more elegant look and feel in the end, but it does mean that those slants being slightly smaller aren't necessarily as easy to sew through. To be honest, it's fine. I love these. I'll be using Maisie linen thread in the 0.4mm variant. And you can see just how this combination provides me with something really elegant and stylish, a very nice but yet subtle contrast with the leather. So let's test this bad boy out, shall we? Well, the least we can say is that it fits, but I am really quite worried about how easy it will be getting in and out. Now, yeah, sure, the leather will stretch a bit with time and get easier, so I'm not tremendously worried, but I do want to try and make things easier. You can actually see just how much leather is stretching by the bulge on the back of the sheath. Now, there are a few ways in which I can help this leather take a bit more shape. The first one is just going to be pressing down with my fingers quite strongly on all the sides of the sheath and using heat from my hands and pressure just to get those fibers moving a bit in the directions that I need them to. Then you can also use a burnisher to press those seams flat, nice and flat, and add in a bit more contour to those corners. This as well is going to help bring all those fibers where you need them to be. So at this point I decided that I want to add an extra hole at the bottom of the sheath. In theory, this hole serves two main purposes. The first is that the user can use their fingers to push the knife out and basically help him get a nice starting go or starting push to help pull that knife out. The second is that this might enable the sheath to naturally shed any dust and particles and bits and pieces that might fall inside the sheath could get stuck, and this way they have somewhere to go. In my mind, this is a perfect plan and not flawed at all. I don't know, we'll see. So does it work? Well, yes, sort of, I guess. I mean, you can technically push the knife out and it does technically help a bit. I'd love to know in the comments if you guys have had a similar issue and if you've got a solution that might be useful to me in future builds or to anyone else watching this video. Hopefully getting the knife in and out will be easier once I nourish the leather and apply some waxes. But first, we have to trim the edges, bevel and sand all those edges, and then go ahead and burnish them. My go-to brand for anything to do with leather conditioning is Saphir, and in this case I'll be using their nourishing cream and their soft waxes to help bring back some of that natural oil back into the leather and get it moving again. I'm actually quite happy with that result. But wait, that was just test number 2. We've now got to do the real thing. This is beaver tail leather. It looks a bit like the cross between snake leather and fish scales. It's, as I mentioned, very thin, but also very hard and not at all malleable, which is a problem. This means I can't just wet it and mold it and bake it. It means I have to wrap it around an existing hardened piece of leather. Here is my backing plate of leather, and as you can see, it's already been hardened, it's got the hole cut out, and I've gone ahead and cut out even bigger notches at the top, which I think will be quite important in giving the final structure a bit more elasticity? No, not really, but enabling the user to be able to get the knife out easier. To make sure everything bonds tight, I need to scratch up the surface before applying my glue, and then can very, very carefully start positioning my top piece in place. making sure not to place it down too fast, because once those two pieces of leather with the glue touch, then getting it away from each other, getting those two pieces separated can be very complicated. So I'll use my fingers for the most part and a burnisher for those tight corners. Now I quickly realized that the bottom portion is going to be very hard to do. As I mentioned, this leather is not malleable at all. So luckily we've got that bottom hole, and I can now see it serves a new purpose, which is enabling me to have a relief cut at an area which would have been otherwise painstakingly difficult to do. So I can cut out a few relief notches in the beaver leather and glue it all down as flat as possible. And once I'm mostly satisfied with this, I can even cut one neat straight line at the bottom where my two pieces overlap and remove the excess material so that those two pieces come in contact perfectly nice and straight exactly where I want it, leaving nearly no perceptible line. Now I can carefully cut off the extra leather pieces on the top and open up the slits which are on the side of the sheath. After a lot of trimming and sanding, here is the result. I've gone ahead and made a backing piece with a clip out of some much softer vegetable tanned leather that this time hopefully will be even more malleable and stretchy than the previous one, and hopefully this will give me the perfect backing, because the top part, with the extra glue and those bonded additional layers, is incredibly hard. Now it's all stitched up using the same irons and thread, except that this time the thread is in black, which looks pretty stunning, if I may say so. I've taken care of beveling and dyeing the top edge as well as the hole, and I can now go ahead and trim the excess leather on both sides, which is actually harder than it seems because of how hard this beaver skin leather is and how thick the final piece is also. I am so close to finishing this sheath, and I really have to be careful because it's at this point when I often make mistakes. So when dyeing those edges, I am especially careful to take my time, and using a Q-tip, go ahead and roll it against those edges to get a really perfect black dye all around, and avoid getting black dye on the back of my sheath, which would look quite unprofessional and messy. Okay, all done and ready for conditioning. My hope here is to nourish the leather and then apply a few coats of wax and make it really pop. It looked amazing at first, and I'm hoping to bring it back to that initial luscious shine. So after a few coats of waxing and a lot of buffing, here we have it. But the main question is, will the knife fit? Because I still haven't tested it. Well, it's definitely a snug fit once more, but it does fit, and I'm pretty certain the backing leather will stretch a bit with time and give that whole structure just enough play that the knife will always be in there very securely, but also accessible whenever Tom needs it. So looking back, we have attempt test number 1, the turd, which is, it's whatever it is. It's a travel case. Let's call it a travel case. That's perfect. It's a travel case. And number 2, which is actually surprisingly nice, made out of Rademacher's Niagara leather, which is a vegetable tanned leather, and will be brilliant for most situations. But la crème de la crème, la Rolls-Royce des sheath, if we could say, is obviously the beaver tail leather, which it turned out gorgeous. It's a jet black, it's stunning, it's hard, really hard, and I'm chuffed at how gorgeous these two last sheaths look. I'd love to hear all your thoughts about what I've just built today in the comments below, alongside those comments of yours helping with suggestions and tips about how to use this leather again in a future project, and maybe how to improve my sheath making in future projects as well. In the meantime, I'd like to say a huge thank you for all of you for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you've learned something, and I hope to see you very soon for some more crafting.